So how you guys doing today? This is Chuck Smiley once again. I'm back with the Goliath Gear podcast. I'm excited to talk about my guest, but before I do that, I want to talk about obviously the mission of the podcast. The mission was we created the podcast to enlighten, empower, and educate our listeners by learning from everyday heroes. And this guy right here is definitely one of those everyday heroes. He's giving back in phenomenal ways, not only through his business, but also through the acumen he's learned through playing professional sports. And he's an extremely good friend. He's humble. He's kind of quiet, man, but hopefully he'll speak up for you guys on today. But his name is Mr. Craig Wander. So, Greg, I'm excited to have you on the show today, bro. I know we were supposed to have you on last week. You was traveling, and I missed the date, so I apologize for that. But I'm gonna give you a chance, man, to kind of tell everybody who you are, and then we're gonna talk about some of the amazing adventures and things that you've been a part of in your career. So,
First and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I really don't speak much, speak often. But thanks for having me. Small town Hebron guy. As I started to travel the world, you turn in from Salisbury, Maryland. But it's all connected. Played my high school ball at Mardella for 3 years. Graduated from Y High, was state champion there. Believe it's 28-0, 26-0, one of them. Then went to junior college, Cecil Community College. Spent 2 years there, 3 years there actually. Played, redshirted, played. Able to get some weight on me. I was skinny as a toothpick. Then on University of Texas, and then 2 years in the D League, and I played 8 more years overseas.
bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. And before I go into I love talking about the JUCO years because in the JUCO years, I personally know how you balled out. But let's go back to the
Right.
high school years. What year did you guys win that championship for Waha?
That was 2002.
Dang, that's right. It was a couple years after I
Two-
graduated.
2002. We never expected to go, undefeated. You really play game by game. It's not any. And then we played together when we was young. Everybody on the team, So once we got together our senior year, we was on a rolling.
I think you mentioned something that's really important. A lot of the guys, I know this, but let's talk to the people listening a little bit. A lot of the guys that you play with, the reason why y'all had such unique chemistry is because, like you just said, y'all had been playing since an early age. Talk about some of those years, man, of y'all playing AAU and traveling.
Yeah, AAU ball traveling, back when we was coming through, it wasn't so many AAU teams. Like you had to make that AAU team in that age group. We got Bubby, Jermichael, Carl, Kyle, Camper, just in the Darnell Camper, they was all on the team. Who else? Jeff Burns, better known as Boot. We all from, I believe we started AAU team probably maybe 12 years old and just right on through all the way up until then, just kept it going.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So y'all have been playing for years. By the time
And not just AAU though. Like this was like a group of guys. We were friends since 10 years old. Every basketball, outside court, inside court. At that age, around the 12, 13, we had, the Saturday mornings at Bennett. And, you had to wait to the side to the older guys, finally let you in. And then you win a couple games in that, and then that's when it was. But it wasn't just like AAU, we hung together on a daily basis, weekly, weekend. And we just went park to park, gym to gym, Salisbury, UMES, every park, Lake Street, North Lake, Doverdale, like every park there was, riding bikes or walking or riding on handlebars almost every day. And that was one of the things why we had that chemistry.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I know in the Stephon Marbury story, they had showed in his documentary the reason why him and KG, Kevin Garnett, were so close is because they had known each other since a very early age. So it created a unique platform that when he got drafted to Minnesota, they was able to ball out because they had been doing it already since literally high school and since middle school.
Exactly. That daily competition.
Right. So with you guys having that chemistry, having that camaraderie, that brotherhood, it translated well into high school and obviously on the basketball court. 28-0, man, that's an amazing feat, bro. That's an amazing feat, man. I ain't even front.
Exactly.
So that's amazing. So you win the championship, right? You're on top of the world.
Top of the world.
This is your literally your senior year, right?
Correct.
I wanna talk to the young kids about this because this will be a shocker. You helped your team get to the championship, not only win the state championship for Maryland 2A, but what happened after that?
You know what's so crazy? You know, we planned winning championship, and at the end of the championship, you know, we riding our high, but we got, you know, what 12-man, 13-man roster, and nobody knows where they're going to school at yet. Nobody. Like, we're playing all these games, and you know, college is the next step, but it wasn't. We don't know where we're going. We just playing because we love the game. You know, we playing because we enjoy the game, and then at that reality set, like, you know, what's next? Where am I going to school? Like, you know, everybody, you know, your hometown, like, yeah, you could play next level, but you never really know where is it coming from. Like, how am I gonna get to the next level? And just luckily, we had a guy by the name of Bill Lewitt, who the older guys like a Doug King, Darrell Turpin, Andy Collins, they went to Cecil, you know, before us, Rashad Brooks, and like literally paved the way for Coach Lewitt to come back in that area and really scout the kids that was coming up. Because we had a starting five to where everybody, we had 8, 10, not going all down the roster that could play at that next level. But the next step was, how do we get to that next level?
Right.
You know, of course, like, you know, the sad part is Coach Lewitt couldn't take all of us. I know he probably wanted to, but, you know, the few that he took, you know, and, you know, then Bubby ended up going to UMES. So that was, and John Wolf ended up going to Salisbury. So, you know, that was the, we don't even know what we're going into, but, you know, that was something to smile about.
Right. Now, you brought up a good point. One thing I realized is obviously out of that championship pedigree that you guys created, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys went 20-0, won the state championship. How much was focused on academics, either from the coaching staff or teachers that were kind of pushing you guys to say, hey, you know, high school is going to be over soon. You know, what are your actual options? And if you want to play ball collegiately, did you feel as though someone was pushing you? I know you had just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that we wasn't pushed, but we wasn't aware of it until it's time to where, okay, you filling out these college applications, and, you know, it's not, we wasn't getting recruited heavy at the time. We didn't know, you know, nothing about the process of what it takes to, you know, become a Division I player right out of high school. And, you know, why, and that was one of the reasons why JUCO was the best level for some of our guys, because it's not that we didn't have terrible grades, you know, it was just, you also go with your STAs, your scores, SAT, you know what I'm saying? And that's just things that we didn't know about at that time. So where now that, you know, where we try to give back and tell guys what to look for, that this is one of the most important things it is, like a 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 is okay, but it's really not cutting it.
Exactly. That's a very good point, because now everything's so competitive. If you got two kids that both, you know, take their school to, you know, to the second, third level as far as the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
but one has, and everything could be the same. They could be averaging, let's say, 12 points a game. They could be averaging 5 boards, a couple assists, couple blocks. But if you have one that is a stellar academic scholar, essentially, one that has like a 3.5 versus one that has a 2.5,
Correct.
The one that has the 3.5 is typically going to get the edge as far as the scholarship's concerned.
Correct. You know, and that's when I really learned about how important it was is when I got to junior college, Cecil Community College, and, you know, from going from a 2.2 and 2.5 to I'm now 3.3, 3.5, 3.7, to where you start to realize, like, when these coaches are coming in, you know, they're going to like your game, but if you can't perform in the classroom, they're not going to bring you in. And we had a situation at Texas where not at Texas, excuse me, at Cecil, where everybody didn't understand how important academics was, even though our coach pushed us, study hall, you had to turn in all your work and all this. But some guys are just doing it to get past. But if we had, even at when I got to Cecil, we had a strong 8 that was high major Division I players, but couldn't go there. And one because of the grades and maintaining them.
Right, right. So athletically, they could have excelled at the next level, but because
Correct.
academically they didn't put in the work like you did, they didn't have the same opportunities.
Correct. And yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think by you just saying that, you're gonna literally unlock the key for so many young kids, man, that just think, hey, I just want a ball. No, I'm
Right.
telling you, like
Exactly.
it's a whole nother level if you want a ball at that next level when you leave high school or AAU. So I'm glad you
Just
shared
like
that.
now, our assistant coach with Bobby Greg Brown at Bennett, and that's one of the things that we have the kids do weekly. We need a weekly progress report just to stay on top of them. Everybody aspiration might not be to play basketball at the next level, but even in life, that's important.
Exactly, exactly. And I know you're gonna give us some insight into that now that you're a business owner and an entrepreneur. So we'll talk about that as well. But let's jump into Cecil. You and Cecil. Let's talk about how you just lit it up there, man. How many points did you score, and what were
I,
you averaging?
yeah, I was 1,000-point scorer at Cecil. And back it up. Back to the high school days. I broke the scoring record in Wycomico County that was held from like the 50s. And that was a great accomplishment. Then I had AJ Spencer and I know the guy's name. That's my little guy too. They came right a few years after me and then shattered my record. Jacoby, yep, Jacoby and AJ, they came and shattered my record.
So what were you averaging in high school then?
Mardella years. I don't like to tell the guys this, but when they added the points up, that's only like 3 years. So it's a whole year that's really missing because we had every year at Mardella I had a different coach. So scorebooks got lost and some things got chunked out of there that we couldn't find. So we only could go by what we could find. So that record stands, but it's still missing a few hundred points.
All right, bet.
I really don't remember my averages because my father always told me, like they're gonna always write good things about you always, but don't really get into it. Don't read it, because it's gonna make you not work as hard as you would or get to where you're going when you start reading all these wonderful things about yourself, like to keep pushing, like don't look at those things, and that's one of the things that I really never focused on from a team player. I never really focused on individual accolades, even though I accomplished a lot, did a lot, but that wasn't something I focused on.
Right, right. I think that's a very good point that you mentioned about the work ethic, man. That's some phenomenal advice. You said your dad shared that with you?
Yes, yeah, he was just like, they're going, the paper is going to boost you up. We coming from a small town, and when you're doing numbers in that small town, you're going to be highlighted. And like we got a couple of young guys now, you're going to be highlighted. But if you sit around and read all the news articles and news clippings, and believe everything they say, sometimes it's a little more hype that you know what I'm saying, but it's not the end goal. So don't focus on that. Just keep working and keep getting better.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, now at Cecil. Now, I know this, but I can't wait for you to share it. And you mentioned it a while ago. You said not only was your academics your focus, but putting in that work was your focus.
Correct.
Talk about that process, because that process is the same process that allowed you to not only jump from Cecil, but to play at Texas and then to play
Correct.
professionally. So
Correct.
talk to us, especially these young guys, about what it takes to really make it, because everybody has talent. Everybody's talented.
Correct.
But what does it really take to get to the next level?
It's everything you do when nobody's watching. That's the main thing is I go by a couple of few sayings in life, and one of them is your future is hidden in your daily routine. I didn't know that I didn't believe it or even think about it at that young of an age, but that's one of the things that I kind of hang my hat on now. Your future is hidden in your daily routine. And the work ethic that we put in. So we came into Cecil, it was 5 guys who've been there for 3 years. So, the Cecil, old Cecil way was you play a year, you red shirt to get your body right, maybe get your more grades right, and then you play again. So we came there 3-year guys, everybody's, got nice bodies and everybody's, you already feel the tension that them going, focusing on college and things like that. So those guys really paved the way for us because their bodies was 3 times better than ours. I came in the Cecil, I was a toothpick, and able and able to get in that weight room. Like we was doing uh, uh, football type workouts in the gym just to get your body bigger. Me and my guy Kyle Camper, we was loading up on the mashed potatoes, loading up on everything. Just like we were so focused to do what we had to do to get to that next level, working out 3 times a day. Everybody party when they in college, but the partying didn't start until after our workouts. We had to do a morning, you go to your classes, study hall, and then you have practice. Now from practice is over maybe 7 or 8 o'clock, you come back 10, 12 at night, and get your work in. And that was the daily routine.
Right.
And we didn't know it just came from the guys that was ahead of us that we seen it. And we were like, well, if they're in the gym, we got to be in the gym. Most time you go to practice, you do your work, you come home, kick back. Nah, it's more gym time even that really transferred over at Texas to where it was like routine for us. But the freshmen that was coming in, I came in as a junior, they didn't understand practice is over. But as soon as practice over, it's roll the bars out and everybody getting individual work. Like if you left practice at Texas right after practice, it was like kind of looked down upon. Like everybody's here to work. You going home already? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So that work ethic, man, was instilled early for you. And it was kind of cool, man. I just remembered that during that time frame, you also had one of your homeboys because Kyle Camper, who also played in high school with you, he was there
Yep.
with you. So
Yep.
that gave even further motivation and obviously encouragement to have one of your good friends there too, right?
Yeah. If anybody know Kai, he's one of the ultimate competitors. And a couple of times in practice, we got kicked out for being a little too rough with each other. We also had Eddie Miller come too from Pocomo. They was a year behind me, and they was able to come in and see my work ethic, on top of what they already had. And just now you got 3 guys that no matter what, they always going to be in the gym with you. At first it was 1, maybe 2, but now you got 3 hometown guys that's going to come and work just as hard as you and compete against you just as hard. And that pushed the table for everybody.
Right. That just raises the ante because now that skill level, in addition to that hard work, just propels you guys even further. So talk about your first. How many years did you spend at Cecil?
3 years. So I played my first year. At this time, Eddie, Kyle, Aaron, they wasn't there yet. So I'm in there. Actually, Bubby was supposed to come to Cecil with me. And he ended up getting a scholarship to UMES right before he was reported to Cecil. So that was a good thing. But we came into Cecil by myself. That's when the work started, and we had to beat out. I had to beat out guys that was 3-year guys that was in front of me. That was from hard work, practice, relentless on the court, defense, every little thing you could think of to beat out a 30-year guy at Cecil. That's kind of unheard of. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, I mean, think about it. They had been in the system 3 years, built that rapport with the coach, and then they got this dude who comes in straight out of high school who outworks everybody,
Right.
and you start getting playing time. So that was crazy.
Correct. That situation almost happened at Mardella also. Even though people don't know, as a freshman, I wasn't supposed to start at Mardella my first game. First game out, I don't know if somebody got suspended or somebody got hurt. So, I'm thinking, I'm about to come off the bench, look at the game for a little while. I was thrown in the fire right for my first game at Mardella, and that right there just helped me with everything that was to come.
Yeah, I mean, because that's some crazy experience, right? Your freshman year, you playing high school ball, and that's a lot of experience, a lot of things that you learn too, not only about the game but about yourself. Can
Correct.
you handle pressure? Can you handle being the guy or being the second person, even when
Mm-hmm.
you haven't really been exposed to that before? So I know you learned so much, and I know we want to get into it. Actually, I kind of want to take a break for a second because I want to talk about your story being such phenomenal and why I was so inspired. The reason I was so inspired about your story is because you it was all truly about hard work and never really about talent, even though you had talent.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had to go the unbeaten path to get where you wanted to be, and that was ultimately to play professional. Like,
Correct.
think about it. High school, even your senior year, you could have stayed at Mardella and rang the numbers up. Like, you could have
Correct.
literally ran the numbers up. But you were humble enough to go play with your friends that you had been playing with for years, which ultimately was, a blessing in disguise because you guys go 28-0, you win the championship. Then from there, not being highly recruited, you go to a
Correct.
JUCO facility, JUCO institution. You play 3 years, and then let's talk about going to play at the University of Texas Longhorns. How
Correct.
crazy was that? You go
You
to a
know,
school that has what, 30, 40,000 students?
correct, correct, and it was crazy. But the hard work, everything, and selflessness. I think it came. Well, I know it came from my grandmother. She raised 5 grandchildren on her own. My mother and father was there to help every now and then, but she raised 5 of us. And she gave up. She gave up almost everything for us to succeed in life, and that hard work, just seeing her grind day in and day out, working a full-time job, working part-time job, getting us to practice, getting us to the games and things like that, and we give her a last for anybody. She's taking care of 5 kids, and if a brother, sister, aunt, anybody calls, she's going to give anything she got. She's going to give it. She's going to give it. I remember one story. I get mad, right? And I mess with her about this all the time. So we used to get bikes for every Christmas, get new bikes every Christmas. And so Christmas came, my new bike, my grandmother gave my new bike away on Christmas Day to somebody else. And I was just so mad about that. But that's literally what she would do. Like, she would even though our bikes probably weren't in bad condition, she would always make sure, like, the next person, she would treat them like they own. And I think that's where a lot of that came from.
Right, right, man. That's phenomenal, man. I mean, I think I knew some of that, but I didn't know that you had such a unique relationship with your grandmother. It sounds very, very much like mine, man. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to chop it up a little bit about that because my grandmother literally, man, she had to kick me out of the house, and that's actually where I actually left High my freshman year and
Mm-hmm.
end up going to Bennett because
Right,
my grandma said, "Look, I want you to stay here, but your mom wants you to come home." So I had to
right,
leave, and
right,
it broke my heart because me and my grandma were extremely tight, especially after my grandfather died. So I was there with her, um, and it was just a benefit for both of us because I helped
right,
do things around the house, keep cutting the grass, and obviously I was the man of the house then. So
right,
that was my role. Um, but things change obviously. But back to you, obviously.
right.
Now you at Texas,
University of Texas.
University of Texas. Who is the coach? Tell me about the program and who did you meet when you got there?
So University of Texas, on my Rick Bonds is the coach. Actually, one of the assistant coach, Russell Springman. He coached my brother. He coached my brother and Rashad Brooks at Mardella. He was on the assistant coach staff, and that was the coaches. My visit. I went my visit to Texas. Going out of Texas, and actually went doing Texas relays, and I didn't know how big Texas relays was. Being from where we're from, that it was so big, and I enjoyed myself so much. And then the guys, my host when I got to Texas was PJ Tucker.
Wow.
Yeah, he was my host, and him and Kenny Taylor. So he's my host, and we coming in, everybody knows you, Craig, and then we go to a little hoop session, and now you start getting nicknames, C Murder, because I was trying to destroy everybody on the court, and it was just one of the places that felt like home. I enjoyed the guys that was there, and I didn't really know any guys that was coming in, but the guys that was there showed me a good time, and it felt like family. So that's why I chose University of Texas. And one of my dreams was always to play on national television. play basketball on national television, and that was one of the places that allowed me to do that.
Right. So how many years of eligibility were you able to carry over to Cecil?
2. So I'm left with 2 years now at the University of Texas.
Right. So junior year and then senior year.
Correct.
Tell me about the transition now to obviously a big program, and then academically, how was it for you as well?
So, the transition to a big program now, at Cecil, you might have for dinner, you might be eating the Highs across the street, a hot pizza sitting on the thing or something like that. Now you're in the University of Texas, you eating steak and shrimp and lobster. Like, that's your meals. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, pre-game, you got pre-game meals, pre-game breakfast. Then you go do your shoot around. Then you got your lunch, and then the nights before game. So the nights before game, then you had a pizza or two at the night of the game. I mean, the night before the game. And so then when you wake up the next morning, the same thing. So like now you're getting first class service everywhere. And that was like one of the things that just made like, man, like, you could just really let loose. Like you ain't got to worry about eating oodles and noodles and mashed potatoes for dinner like we did at Cecil. like now you eat steak and lobster, you feel me?
Right. So and you're eating good, they taking care of you. You really
correct.
All in the Texas, apparel, looking
correct.
fresh.
And and the guys like like I said, PJ Tucker was my host and one of my good friends throughout. Then one of the guys my first year I became real close to it. Also LaMarcus Aldridge, because like somehow, some way, I was always used to at Cecil go to the gym 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night by myself until Kyle and Aaron and Pooh Bear came, Eddie. So I was always used to going to the gym by myself. So I carried that right over to Texas. And me and Lamarcus just always happened, even though we're teammates, before the season started, even when the season going on, everything that carried on after that, we always enter at the gym at the same time. If it's 9:30, if it's 11:30, 12:30. So then I'd be on one end doing my thing, he'd be on the other end. So we just finally start like, hey, what time you coming to the gym night? Hey, what time you coming to the gym night? So that was one of the ways that we stayed in the gym and became close friends off of that.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. So academically, how hard was it for you as far as like maintaining your grades, keeping your grades at Texas? Was it easier?
I'm gonna say Cecil really prepared us for that, and it was the same structure. You go to class, you have your workout in the morning, you go to class, you have your study hall, you have your practice, and in your study hall, and you had to go to classes. You had to sign in every class, so you had to go to classes. If you missed a class, you had to call the coach, say if you was gonna miss, why you was gonna miss, and then if you can't say you're sick because they're gonna send somebody over there to you to check up on you, like, you know what I'm saying? So it was the same thing, and it carried right on. It made it so much easier. I went from high school maybe averaging a 2.5 to where the only thing that kept me off the dean list at the University of Texas, where I didn't write the letter. Like, I didn't even understand, like I got the grades. What you want me to write a letter? Why I got to write a letter telling you why I should be on the dean's list?
Right. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know. I guess different programs do it different ways. So, but
right.
I guess for them, you actually had to write to be on the dean's list.
Correct. Yes. You had to write a 5 or 10 page paper or something to become on the dean's list.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
I tried to get my brother write it for me, but he didn't.
So did you get playing time the first year at Texas?
First year at Texas, it was real up and down, and like I started off the preseason, everything was good. First couple games is getting the clock in. Well, one of the things is they had Daniel Gibson at the point guard, and I came off the bench, but he was such a phenomenal scorer that they thought it'd be best for him to run the 2 guard, which is, ultimately one of my spots, and when they moved him over, that cut a lot of my playing time down. And at first, I ain't gonna say I got down on myself, but I didn't know how. I'd never been in that situation before to where, like, high school to junior college to now, to where you think, like, I done everything I need to do to get here. And now when I get here, I can't play. So after every game, I would stay out there, get shots up after every game. You know, get a manager, go. We had 2 courts, go upstairs, get extra work and get extra work in. It came all the way to after my junior year to tournament time, to where I'm averaging 28 minutes a game, you know, and just out there praying freely and doing what I can again, you know. And then going on to my second year, then we get a great freshman class coming in, you know, Kevin Durant, DJ Augustine, you know, Damian James. You know, we get a great freshman class coming in. And I get it almost go back to the same thing. So this one I started to realize that basketball at that level is a lot about politics, which I didn't understand. I always thought you just have to work hard and everything is going to go the way you're supposed to go. You know, and that's one of my other mottos I was telling you about. You know, hard work means nothing, but without it, you underachieve. You know, and that's one of the things, you know, I always still stick by and live by, because now preseason come, coach back, you know, love me coming off a great high year. But now we got a story to tell. You know, your PJ Tucker gone, your LaMarcus Aldridge gone, your Daniel Gibson gone. At that type of program, you need a story now. You know, and you know the story that coming off the Fab Five from Chris Webber and all them being at Michigan. That's the story we got to run with. We ranked in the country. You know, we got to go off of something. And got caught in that same thing again, but same thing every day. No matter how much I played or I didn't play, when after the games, I still put my extra work in, and then my time came again to where the season go, you know, up, down, up, down. Tournament time come, bam, 26, 27 minutes a game again. You know, but it taught me a real great lesson for when I became a professional, that, you know, and also life, that, you know, when things don't go your way, don't give up. Definitely don't give up. Just keep working. You might not see the light, but just keep working at things to come. And not I didn't know this, but at the time, my time was becoming when I was a pro. You know, so all the work I put in, everything that followed, I got one call from an agent when I was at University of Texas, and he was like, "Look, I seen you playing the tournament. I really like your game. I think you can go a long way." And so me, I was a good saver with money anyway, so I saved all my Pell Grant checks and all my campus checks, and I went to every trout I could find, you know, D-League, overseas, paid my way to go everywhere. And just so happened, all that work I put in, I started to shine in all these highlights. I'm going into tryouts, like D-League tryouts with 150 people. 150 people walk in the gym. My eyes got big. I didn't even know it was gonna be that many people in there. You know, you thinking you about to go play some 5-on-5, you know, try to do what you do. You walk in the gym, you got 100 people in there. So what can you do to set yourself apart from these 100 people? And, you know, one of the things that, you know, I was always big on hard work and just outworking everybody. And I was making all the shots that I could make. And it just came from the repetition and time to where it was my time to shine. And that's when it was.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So just by, like you said, that hard work ethic, never relying on your talent, continue to be humble, grinding every day. Your opportunity didn't come like you had envisioned, especially being
Mm-hmm.
at the bigger level at being at Texas.
Correct.
But professionally, when you started going through these tryouts, that's the same type of stuff that end up setting you apart, allowing your light to kind of shine during that time.
Correct.
So
And
what happened?
always,
Oh, go
and
ahead.
always, not to cut you off, my bad, and always, and I never felt that, you know, like, man, I'm better than him, why I'm not playing. I would cheer my teammate on to I was his biggest fan, you know, and I wanted everybody to succeed, even though at that time I was so-called not succeeding, you know.
Right, right, and that's a very good point, man. That you continue to be successful and supportive of your colleagues, of your teammates, and I think that is oftentimes lost in translation, especially when you
Correct.
got these guys that come out and, like you said, they was the man, they was the star at their high school or whatever program they came out of, and now they get to a different program, and now it's like, yo, you're literally meeting stars from all over the country
Correct.
that you guys now have to merge with, play with, and hopefully win with. So your
Correct.
attitude has to change, and I think that's a very good point, man. I think a lot of young kids are going to realize that.
And
So
my bad again. So what they really don't understand, like when you get recruited at a top 5 school or power 5 school, like they recruiting because they think you're an NBA player, you know. So you know where your ego is when you playing that good. So and you come in and you're not playing, and you can't get down on yourself, you know. And for a short second I did until I just was like, my sanctuary is basketball. No matter how high or how low it go, that's the road I'm gonna take. And that's what you got to realize. Just keep a positive attitude in everything you do in life.
yeah, man, I completely agree, man, because life is definitely going to give you those ups and downs, man. But it's how you perceive it and how you're going to react to it.
Correct.
How you're going to react. So talk about, man, your first. No, let me see, because I remember you told me you had a couple tryouts, which you just said as well. But what happened when you went to that D League tryout?
Man, that's like I said. I walked in the gym. I drove 6 hours. I drove from the University of Texas down to McAllen, Texas. And you know, I didn't even know Texas was that big at the time. I drove 6 hours, and actually, they have a they have a checkpoint, you know, because you get closer to McAllen. So the guy was like, "Where you coming from?" So I'm like, "Texas." So he looked at me like, "Man, pull over, man." Like, you know, you know what I'm saying? And like as I'm driving over there, I'm just laughing like, "Yo, I just told him I was coming from Texas." Like that's what happened when you from a small town. You know, you drive 6 hours, you're in a whole other state. You feel me?
Right.
And so I drive 6 hours down there for a tryout. Actually, on the same day of tryout, I don't get there the day before. So I get there a couple hours before the tryout. You know, walking to the gym, 100 guys. You know, man, you've seen some of the guys on TV. You played against some of the guys. Like everybody's, you know, like for the most part, you know, top tier. They did their thing. They try and get to the next level. A lot of hungry guys, you know. And, you know, that's one of the things, you know, good butterflies, I call it. You know, you get in there, you're kind of nervous how things go out. But as soon as you put that ball in your hands, you know, everything just come to light.
Like clockwork after that, huh?
Exactly. Oh, and the part I didn't mention, out of these 150 guys, they're only going to take 4 guys that they think they like to report to the D League. Like, you know, I believe this guy can play in the D League. You know, so 150 guys, they only going to pick 4 at the end of the day. So you know, it got to be a day, got to be a good day, or you have to show something that make them want you to come back. Then I got drafted. Uh, Well, that was the first, you know, at first try. I went to like 4 more, you know, and just so happened all of the guys, you know, was, you know, I got picked in the last 4 guys out of all those tryouts, and I ended up getting drafted by the first team I went and tried out for, like in the 8th round or something. I wasn't even watching the draft or nothing, you know. It's a D League draft. I didn't even know they draft guys. You feel me? I didn't know much about it. I just played basketball. And I get drafted, you know, go there. Now you go into training camp with 17 guys.
Who
And
was your first team, bro?
the Vipers.
Okay.
So
What city was that?
that's McAllen, Texas, all the way
McAllen,
at the
Texas.
bottom, right by the border.
Right.
And you get drafted. Now you come into training camp with 17 guys. They're going to cut the roster down to 10 within, I believe, 4 days.
Mm.
So now when you really get there, all the guys that you might have watched on TV or played against in college, they're there and they want that spot. You know, everybody's trying to get to the NBA. And out of those 4 days and 2 days, they cut it down to 12. You know, and then the other 2 days you're gonna get a couple scrimmages in, and then they're cutting it down and it's game time. You know, and I was blessed to, you know, make it through that process.
Let's talk about that process a little bit too, because for you, and you highlighted a little bit when you was at Texas. You said that Boobie Gibson was a decent score, was a really good score, which allowed him to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to work on a few things, man, a few aspects of your game. Talk about those things that you really had to work on to strengthen other aspects of your game. Because I know you. You was a freak of. You was a freak athlete.
Right.
Not just jumping ability, but once you really started working on your body, your game
Mm-hmm.
went to a whole different level.
Correct.
So even though your body went to a whole nother level, your skill set also has to continue to make those leaps and strides to meet your body.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether that be shooting, dribbling, or whatever. But what were some other aspects that you really had to focus on? And I know defense was one of the things that definitely was at the top of your list. That's why you was able to get the time that you did in Texas, because you was a lockdown defender.
Correct. And just from the things that you had to work on, I was a two guard, 6'2" two guard. At the next level in the NBA at the time, if you wasn't 6'5", 6'6", you didn't become a two guard. And so at that level, I had to become a point guard. And I never really played point guard in my life. I was always, catch, shoot, drive everything from the wing. And what I had to realize is all these moves that work from the right and left wing, it's a whole different skill set when you're in the middle of the floor trying to run the offense, and that's one of the things that you really had to do. It's easy to protect the ball when you're on the wing. I had to learn how to protect the ball in the open in the middle of the floor, learn how to use my body more. And you on the wing, it's just I can blow past you and try to get a layup, make a pass. But in the middle of the floor, being a point guard, it's not really just blow past you. You got sets to run. So now you have to become tighter with your handle. I had to become a better free throw shooter. I worked on that, and I had to become a consistent shooter. I call myself streaky. I would hit 5, 6 in a row. And then, that's how I got hot. But, I had to become consistent, to where I'm doing this at an even pace, not get hot, go cold. Because like you said, like you got people who want that spot coming for you, and also who's pushing you to get better. When you playing with a Kevin Durant, it seems like every shot he's making. Like, you know what I'm saying? And also with Booby. And that's one of the things that you really have to continue to work on as you continue to become a pro. It's high school is more freestyle. As you become in college, when you come to college, it's more so how can you run a set and stay disciplined in that set. In the pros is now, let me use pick and rolls, let me use down screens. I have to use my body to get open. And there's different things like that you have to study the game to realize this is what you got to get better at to succeed.
Right, man. That's a very good point, man. Um, talk about the defensive prowess, man, because you really hang your hat on locking folks down, man. I know you talked about that quite a bit to our young men when I had you talk to them. But let's talk about that defense stuff, man, because that's one of those things, man. Those defensive players like a Patrick Beverly or a who's some of the
Avery
older guys like
Bradley.
Avery Bradley, the dude that used to play
Correct.
for the Spurs. What was his name? That used to give Kobe problems out there.
Bruce
Um,
Bowen.
Bowen, yeah.
Yeah.
Those type of players, you always find a couple of them on each team where they're able to get a niche, and they're known for that defense, that lockdown defenders. And I don't think that is praised as much at lower levels, but I think it's important.
And what I really think helped me out, even at Texas, I wasn't getting the playing time, but when you at that level, you got scout teams, and you're running the other team's offense. And, I was always, whoever the top scorer was on the opposite team, I was always that player for the Texas in practice. And I had to be, if Durant going crazy in practice, one of the things was anybody who started going off or scoring a lot of points in practice, the thing was Craig, get him. So, I had to be the best defender. I had to be the best defender, one, because, to get on the court, and then to help my teammates succeed, I had to be the best offensive player to get them prepared for the games to come. And that was one of the things that really allowed me to play both sides of the floor, even though I already was a defense and offensive guy, but now like I had to be in tremendous shape. And that's what I see a lot of the young guys really don't understand about the about basketball this day. A lot of the young guys, they real good. They can play, they can score, but their bodies ain't in that physical condition to outstand it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm always telling my young guys that as well. Listen, I know you guys been running and doing the drills and working with um, a specialist with regards to training your game, but what about training your body? Working with a
Mm-hmm.
trainer, a
That
physical therapist to maintain flexibility, all those type of things that's gonna help keep you not only your strength, but also your physical endurance. When the fourth
Correct.
quarter comes, are you going to be tired and missing shots because your form sucks? Or are you able to continue to thrive because your body's conditioned to handle that new workload, especially if you're going from, JV to varsity or from
Correct.
varsity to college? It's a big jump.
Then, in high school, I think you play, 2 games a week. Then, when you get to college, you might be 2, 3 games a week, but the practices that you have on top of the games is like, it's going to really take a toll on your body when you come there, the conditioning that the coach is going to get you in to. But if you have that early, like which we was taught that at Cecil, it came in as a breeze, and that's one of the things that, it can bail you out of a lot of situations. If we I take a guy like Richard Hamilton. Nobody really known him to have one of the best handles or anything, but he would run around all day just to get his shot off. And that's one of the things he had to thrive on to become successful in the league. If we look at LeBron James and how he's able to stay healthy and stay in over year after year after year, that's all about conditioning his body.
You're right. You're right. And it also helps that he's able to spend about $1 million on his body too.
Exactly. You know what's crazy? So
well, hold on. So if you ain't got $1 million, you got to do a whole bunch more work.
Facts. Me and Durant, we went and worked out with LeBron for a week, and went through his routine. And LeBron would spend literally, we wake up in the morning, we'd do a weight session. After the weight session, we do conditioning. After the conditioning, like on the track, we go to the pool, and then that's when the court comes after that. So like his routine, and this was day in and day out, like it was crazy. And like, and he was probably looking at us like, how can you guys handle this? But this is what we did anyway. And it was real fun to really see, like, that's how much before we even hit the gym, and we're still hitting the gym twice. So so you doing all that, you then hit the gym, take a couple hours break, and then come back to the gym.
Wow, bro, that's amazing. Where'd y'all go work with LeBron at?
In his hometown. We was in Ohio.
Okay, when he was in Cleveland.
Yep.
When he was in Akron or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, bro, like they opened some doors for you. I mean, I know KD did, but LaMarcus Aldridge, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he have it in his clause that you got to get a workout when he was with San Antonio as well?
Correct. And so with LaMarcus is, I used to go every summer. I come back from overseas, come back home from the D-League playing. I go spend months with LaMarcus, months with Kevin, and his coach was, in the NBA. In the summertime, they sent coaches out to work with the players for a few days. And, a few days. And what was I talking about? I'm sorry. I think
working with
LaMarcus.
The players in the summer, yeah.
Yeah. So his coaches there, we working out. So and after the workout, the coach called LaMarcus like, yo, I really like his work ethic. I looked him up, and I really see, we want to try to get him a workout in Portland. So at this time, it just so happened, I just came out of from the D-League. We won a championship, and it was a decision I had to make. So they wanted me to go back to the D-League to keep a close eye on me, but I was like, look, I felt as though, I gave the D-League what I could give. It was time for me to step up. I had a decent-sized contract also waiting on me. So do I go back to the D-League, take minimum money, or do I really, yes, I wanted to play in the NBA, but at the time I felt as though, I felt as though that, like, if I can get it, the way I wanted is I wanted to get invited to training camp with a little money clause, and they wanted me, to come to they didn't want me to do the training camp. They wanted me to keep an eye on me through the D-League. And I felt as though, I had reached my, not ceiling, but I had reached what I wanted to do in the D-League. It was time for me to move on. So that was one of the things that happened, with the Portland workout. And also, his one of his coaches was really pushing for me to get on. And just so happened, that coach get fired going into, I think was it Nate? Nate get fired, even though Nate wasn't at the workout, but it was one of the assistant coaches. So the head coach get fired, and they change up the staff, So that was, I'm not gonna say it really hurt me, but that's one of the things that didn't allow that to go the way it should have went.
Right, right. That's crazy how the circumstances like that can just switch.
Correct.
Can just switch. But obviously, you had an incentive too. You know, talk about that championship at the Rio Grande. What that was the Rio Grande Vipers? No.
Yep, Real Grand Vipers. Yep.
Yeah, talk about that game winning shot, bro.
Right, people. If you follow me anywhere, knew my game. I really didn't show no emotion on the court. I always felt as though I done it all before. I was always a high scorer. I love steals. I love block shots. I love dunking. So I never really showed the emotion on the court. So doing that series, right before, well, actually a series before that, I missed it. I always talk trash like off the court to my teammates, talking about ice waters in my vein, I'm clutch and all this. And I end up missing a shot to send that we could have finished the team off. And we had to go to another game. So I missed that shot and all the guys was hounding me because like, oh, you so clutch, you so clutch. So when this shot comes and I tell the guys before the huddle, I said, when I get it, I'm making it. You know what I'm saying? And, the laughter coming, they start joking with me. So when, the shot come, I make it. That's why I turn around to the bench and just to let the guys know, like, yes, ice water in these veins. That was like probably one of the only times I ever showed emotion on the basketball court.
That's crazy. And for those of y'all that don't know, that was in the championship series. What game was that, bro?
That was, I don't think we played 7. If we did, it was like game 7 to game 5, but it was the last game and it was for the championship. Like whoever won that game won the championship.
Right, because you guys had battled. Each of y'all had won like 2 or 3. I think it was a 5-game series.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, 5-game series. Each one of y'all had won 2, and then you hit the game-winning 3 to win the championship, man, for Rio Grande Vipers.
Correct. And that was the crazy thing was it was a new team, the D League was growing, and that was a new extension team. And for us to win a championship so fast, so quick, and I believe that next year the Rock, we was affiliate of the Rockets anyway. The Rockets was like the only affiliate of that team.
Right. So let me ask you this, man, before I talk about you getting a big contract and going overseas. How do you feel about the G League now, it's called, and these young cats getting 300, 200, 300,000?
I mean, I'm a big fan of it, because like I said, a lot of the guys that are actually going through the D League or in the D League are guys that you probably seen in college doing their thing. But we already know everybody who got there worked hard, and they deserve to be there for one reason or another. And I'm all for it. I wish I could have got it when I was back then. But for all the guys that's coming in, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and it is pretty cool to see them getting the sponsorship and the recognition as they deserve because. I mean, let's be frank. The NCAA had to do something because you started having players go play in the NBDL, which is over in Australia, like LaMelo. They was getting big money to go play for 1 year just to come back to be drafted into the league.
And that's one of the things I never really understood. When you travel overseas and you get these contracts, you like, why this can't happen in the United States, And for it to finally happen, I'm actually really proud of that. And actually, I actually played in the NBL one of my years overseas.
Yeah. So let's talk about that first contract that you got. You said it was a nice size contract. Let's talk about how does it work? Is it just one season? Is it a couple seasons? Like, give some people some insight that they really don't know how it works to actually play overseas and get a contract and all that good stuff. Correct.
So. The time I was talking about, that actually wasn't my first year overseas. I took a stint. And came back and played in the D League, So the first contract was okay, but when I was talking about the time when I had to make that choice, every season I signed a 1-year contract. Some teams or some places overseas are different. You can sign 2 years, maybe 3 years, but it's rare right now. But at that time you could. But, my agent was the process and, it's all game tape and highlights that you send, that your agent works and send to different teams for you overseas. And, one of the things that we really have to have because of the political part and coming from where we come from a small town, is you have to have a good or a decent agent to really go to know what countries to send you to, what countries are paying, the type of player you are, and can you be successful, not just one that's going to just like throw you out there. And, you know, everybody play different in different systems, you know, and that's a real big thing. Even if you go back to look at James Harden in OKC, he was just another player. When he got his own team in the Rockets, he one of the best players in the league. You know, so having an agent that really understands that goes a big way also. And actually now that it's finding an agent also, you know, there's so many different agents and so many different people out here. Finding an agent when you're not already top tier is a big thing also.
Right. To know, to not only trust him, but believe that he's going to work hard for you to get you those opportunities that you want.
Correct. Especially in like the overseas world, like not my first agent, my second agent, I never met him. You know, so now you putting your trust in an agent that I mean, we talked on the phone, and of course, and things like that, but y'all never sat down face to face, and you trusting him to make the right decision with your life, basically.
Yeah. So how was it, going to a brand new country? I'm assuming you never been overseas. You
Nope.
know, you're going over there for the love of the game, but you also
Correct.
got to live outside of the game. How was
Right.
all that in the first contract, first two contracts and so?
So now that part was crazy. My first contract was in the Middle East. And, you know, I didn't even know what to expect. I'm not a news guy. I wasn't a news guy. So I didn't know nothing about the Middle East. I didn't even know how people dressed or how people looked. So we we parked, you know, and I never been on a plane that didn't pull up to, you know, to the little thing and come out. So we
To the
park in the
terminal.
middle, the terminal. So we park in the middle of an airstrip. It's dust flying around, and you get off the plane, everybody covered up with AKs. So you like what's about to go on here? Like you saying, so you stepping off the plane, you got 12 guys with AKs not shoving you into the bus, but telling you to get on this bus, and you like, I ain't never got out in the middle of an airstrip to get on a bus, like, you know what I'm saying? So that part was different, and you know, you just big eyes looking around like, what's going to happen next? Where you going? You know, first time coming through customs, and you know, what are you doing here? That's the first question. You're like, you know, I'm here to play basketball. Like, what city you going to? Hold up, let me look at this paper. I don't know what city I'm going to. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, like I said, I never met an agent. My second agent. So now you're getting off the plane, and now you have to find somebody or hope somebody's there at the airport to pick you up, because, like, you know, and just luckily, not luckily, but you know, they take care of you. You got people holding signs up with your name, and they got fans screaming. You know, that thing, it really make you smile. You get off the plane, like, y'all really here for me, like, you know, what I'm saying? And that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that atmosphere over there, you know, I've been to a lot of NBA games courtside in the crowd, and I believe like overseas fans, they're a little more free and can do more things. I believe it's a little better than the NBA fan.
Yeah, the actual experience, fan experience.
Correct.
I heard that a couple of times from a couple of different people. You, Andre, and then actually watching one of our young boys, man, Jamal.
Oh yeah,
Jamal
yeah,
King.
yeah.
He just signed his second contract. I was watching on Facebook. He was meeting some new fans already. I'm like, yo, he just landed.
Right.
He
And
just got
that
off
be
the
the
plane.
crazy part, right? They know more about you when you land than you even know what's going on in the city. And that shows how basketball around the world, you know, I call it universal language, you know, like some of the guys that the countries I went to, nobody spoke English, but they patting you on the back. They know you're here to play basketball. They're saying something, but you don't understand them. And, you know, and it's also good, you know, learning new language or little languages, to order food, to eat, you know, and to communicate with people.
Right, right. Now, I want you to frame this, but frame it as much as you want. I want to give these young guys that's going to tune in and check this out kind of a rough idea the type of money that you can make overseas, because everyone's kind of blinded by the big contracts that they see. Oh, Harden and all these folks sign 100 mil, whatever, for 10 years, 8 years, whatever. But it works differently overseas, and the amounts are different, but it's still really good money if you want to play ball and follow your dream, right? So
Correct.
so help us, I guess, give us kind of an idea roughly of what you could make either for a season, and then I know you're also going to caveat that with it depends on what level you're at, because there's different level with being overseas and playing in different leagues. So if you
Correct.
could
You know, I
explain a little bit of
believe,
that.
I'm gonna go all the way back to the D League. You know, I believe at that time in D League it had three different pay. It was 25,000, 18,000, and 13,000 for the 6 months that you played. And that was for the 2 years I played there. You know, the first year I was on it's ABC. I was on the C contract. Next year I moved into the B contract. You know, that's roughly, you know, after they take their taxes on a C, about like 1,200 a paycheck. You know, but at that time, you know, you don't pay for housing. We actually had a good contract. We wasn't really paying for food. And my first contract overseas was only like $5,000 a month, you know, fresh out. And what I was able to my next contractor now, okay, I was making $10,000 a month. And then I was able to I was able to go to teams to where they was at the bottom of the teams, and I would bring them to the top, or actually I got 3 championships over there to where, you know, the 10,000 turns into 25, you know, per month, and you over there from 6 to 8 months, and you know it's all predicated, 1 on your agent, 2 on your success, and like, you know, 3 on championships. You know, I went to China. I went to China one time for the playoffs. You know, I was there for 2 weeks. You know, and I received a chunk. I received a chunk of money that most people make in 2-3 years. You know, and that's what you're right. And if I was there for like I played 2 games, playoff games. You know, and it was the quickest. It was the quickest. You know, money that you can make real quick. What I did was I go to the 6 to 8 months to play. Then in the summer, I found a little summer gig, played either for 6 to 8 thousand a month or 12,000 a month, and one time 17, real quick in the summer, 3-4 months, and then go play my season again, and one of my biggest contracts was actually in the Middle East and Libya, and it was because I turned down. I was about to go back and play in the NBL. And I turned down that contract to go back to the Middle East. Even my agent couldn't understand it. I'm looking at why I turned it down personally because, I seen what the MVP was making, and it wasn't about just the money to me. So I'm like, well, if the MVP of the NBL is making this, I can make this over there. And I always tell the young players overseas, stay in a place that they love you. You know what I'm saying? And Libya is one of the places that love me. I won them championships. I was there year in and year out. And only one of the reasons I really left because all of the war and stuff that really started to go on. So don't always chase the money. Stay where they love you. And that's how you have your long success and careers. Even though I jumped, I played for so many different teams. But when I found that place that I felt like loved me, I stayed there until I couldn't stay there anymore.
Man, that's great advice, bro. So once you found that, almost like that home away from home, you was like, yo, I got it made here. I got fans. They showing me love. My pay is good. I'm still
Right.
chasing my dream and doing something that I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. That will outweigh a lot of different aspects. Those tangibles will far outweigh some of those intangibles, man.
Correct.
So
And a lot of, especially in the overseas, a lot of guys get caught chasing the money, and then they might be out of job in like a year or two. Where okay, and I talked to many guys about this. Okay, this team offering you $12,000 a month, and this team offering you $14,000 a month. But in this country you love, in this country, you might got to go prove yourself again. But you get where they love you, you got 5 to 6 more years just off of your name to where you don't know what will happen. Like take a little less pay cut because it's going to average out more over the years.
Right. Now I know a lot of people don't know this too. Like up to a certain amount, that bread is tax free for you guys when you go
Correct.
back to the U.S.
And and a lot of guys, and in that situation, like you live, the money that you make is probably better than the NBA minimum anyway. One, because all your housing is paid for. Your food, you get meals 3 times a day. Now, if you're in the States in the NBA league minimum, which is real good money, but now you got a house payment, you got a car payment, you got to keep up with everybody else that's going on around you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that money turns down. Now, you see a lot of guys overseas have not have or can sustain a life after basketball quicker than the NBA guys, because they're on their hiatus, and things they have to do to keep up with the public image that you really don't have to do.
Exactly. And then you can find yourself being a lot more disciplined with your money too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more discipline, man. We've been going for a minute, and I hate to end it, man, because I know you got stuff to do, and you're probably gonna be watching. I guess Boston and Toronto about to start playing.
They just about to finish.
Already?
Yeah, the Clippers,
okay.
the Clippers, who this? The Clippers and who the Clippers playing?
Oh, Denver. No, Utah.
Yeah, they playing. Yeah, no, they playing Denver. I didn't even. Yeah, they about to play.
Oh, Denver.
Yeah.
Oh snap, that's right. So it's Donovan Mitchell team beat out the other beat up. Oh yeah, that's right.
They lost at the buzzer.
Yeah. I missed it, man. The past couple of weeks, man, because I was just crazy busy, man.
Right.
Busy. But yeah, man, I'm super excited, obviously, to have you on. I know we have to do this again, man, because it's some more aspects.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things we missed talking over, and probably some good points. And like I always want to say, like any of the young guys or any of the guys that's looking for a mentor or looking, just have questions, anytime, just reach out to me anyway. I'm not a big social media guy, but I'm not hard to get up with either.
Right. Well, quickly though, since I got a few more minutes, just let everybody know what you're doing now after your 8 years of playing professionally. Let's
so after my 8 years professional, I really didn't know what was next for me. How people, I didn't want basketball to stop at that time. I had was taking my back was giving me so many problems to where I had to step away because they were still trying to bring me on them teams to bring to the top, and my body wasn't having it anymore. So for 2 years straight, I didn't do anything. I didn't work. I played ball every now and then. So, just sat on the couch and gained a lot of weight. Just from thinking of like what's next, and just luckily, I was financially stable enough to where I was able to do that. Didn't have to get a job. And then one of my good friends introduced me to one of my business partners. Now he's like, look, I run a medical transportation. I'm just getting into it. My guy told me your work ethic and just in basketball and in life and I like the things I like things that you do. Like, let's go in business together. And we started a medical transportation business, and it just so happened it's almost, I don't want to say it's a bulletproof, but it's a real good business that no matter what's going on in society, that is one of the things that's always going to be needed. And then I've been doing that, I believe for like 2 or 3 years now. And also I just now really got into the real estate game. So, it just, and opening up more ways and avenues to earn and build money while, luckily as so far I haven't been able to, I only been able to work for myself. I never had to get a job. And that's one of the things I just wanted to continue to push down to the young people, the moves to make with their money early on, that I didn't even make or I didn't even know, to where they financially stable throughout their career.
Right, man. That's a blessing, man, to be able to continue to be an entrepreneur, do what you want, but then also being able to live the lifestyle that you truly desire. And yeah, we're gonna definitely highlight that next time, man, because I know we almost at about an hour. But listen, Craig, obviously honored to have you on the show. Towards the end of each show, or right around the end of each show, I like to share a scripture, man. I got this idea actually from T.I. with his podcast Expeditiously. He will typically read a word that really embodies the show, and he will give a definition. For me, I use a scripture obviously because of my faith, and I found one that I thought was pretty cool that I wanted to share. And I'm going to read it right here. It is from actually Isaiah 48:17. It says, "This is what the Lord says, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord your God who teaches you what is best for you, who directs you in the way you should go. The reason I chose this one, man, is because throughout your career and throughout your life, man, I just seen that no matter what was in front of you, man, it was just like your pursuit of what you wanted to do was always, your prime goal, man. And it was like, the water sort of parted for you, man. And even though it was tough, you learned how to work hard through all those situations. You rode the roller coaster of life, and you continue to really excel, man. And I know that God really had his hand on you, man. And that's why you were able to do the things that you're doing, or you have done. And then also the blessing of what's going to come ahead of you, man, because I know you're a great mentor to a lot of young guys. I've seen you hands-on coaching a lot of high school kids. And I know that door is going to open for you even more, man. I would love to see you coaching probably at a collegiate level or something like that, because you just have way too much knowledge, man, that needs to be shared, man.
And that's one of my goals. And that's definitely one of my goals, to become either college or the pro level, to become a coach on that level. And even though I do the things with the businesses, but basketball is just my passion.
Right. And we definitely appreciate it, man. I know I do personally, with all the advice I received from my kids, and then obviously, or from my son, and then also going forward, man, having a team like you guys around me, I know it's going to be exciting to see my son grow, as well as all of the other young men that I'm a part of, because I can reach into that network and just hit you guys up for whatever I need. But look, thanks again, man. We're going to end the show. I will talk to you soon, and we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it again. Any last words?
Nah, man, just thanks for having me. You always was a positive guy every time around you, from young to now. Just keep doing what you're doing, keep motivating, keep pushing, and keep sharing the faith, and and for everybody to walk in faith and to continue to do better.
Appreciate you, brother. That means a lot, man. Love you, homie. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, thank you, man.